Sanji will lead Germa 66 by the end of One Piece. Whilst that might sound crazy to say at this point in the story, by the end of this video, I will explain why this outcome is very likely for Sanji. I will also explain why this is the most natural progression for his character, to grow from a prince to a king. Sanji has had his own personal character arc, most notably during the Zou, Whole Cake Island, and Wano arcs. Sanji's rocky relationship with his family has been a focal point for Oda for the past few arcs. Oda has made it very clear how the Vinsmoke family views Sanji and how he views them. So how does Sanji go from vehemently hating his family to one day leading them? In this video, I will explain why Sanji leading Germa 66 is not just a possibility, but the very likely progression of his character. There is a lot to discuss, so let's get started. So before we get to how Sanji will lead Germa in the future, we need to establish where he is starting from, and I would not blame anyone if they thought this was impossible. Sanji is starting here, and we will come back to this image later in the video. Sanji's relationship with his family is straightforward. He hates them, and they hate him. He hates his brothers for the beatings he got from them as a child. He hates his sister for rarely ever helping him and laughing at his misery. And most of all, he hates his father, Judge Vinsmoke. Sanji hates Judge for never defending him from the beatings he received from his brothers, as well as the confinement he endured because of his father, for constantly calling Sanji a failure and not caring if Sanji lived or died, going as far as to tell Sanji to never reveal that he is the son of Judge Vinsmoke, a promise that Sanji has kept for over a decade. Judge has even tried to blackmail Sanji into a marriage he never wanted, while simultaneously threatening the life of Sanji's benefactor, Red Legs F, attempting to use and discard Sanji like a tool for his own agenda. Sanji has said that he has no pleasant memories of his childhood with his family, highlighting how miserable his life was with his family. When Sanji saw Ichiji and Iji for the first time in over a decade, it was enough to make him visibly shake, indicating the past trauma he suffered by their hands. Oda has built Germa from the ground up to contrast with Sanji in every aspect, from their character, their ideals, the way they treat food, the way they treat their subordinates, their manipulation of life, their desire to conquer, even down to the smallest detail like the direction of the swirls on their eyebrows. While Sanji is kind and caring, the Germa are cruel and sadistic. While Sanji has no ambitions to rule, the Germa are tyrants out to conquer the North Blue. Sanji has gone as far as to tell others to never refer to him as a member of Germa 66. When Sanji's latent Germa abilities were manifesting, the very thought of becoming like his siblings was enough to make Sanji contemplate death itself. If it wasn't evident enough, Sanji hates his family a great deal and has suffered a lot because of them. He wants nothing to do with them. So how does he get from here to here? Whole Cake Island was the turning point for Sanji and Germa. After seeing Sanji for the first time in over a decade, it was like he never left. He was beaten up physically and broken down mentally, brought to his lowest point in the series. Germa had once again caused Sanji incredible pain, isolating him from his friends and throwing him to the wolves. Despite everything that had happened in the past and present, in Germa's time of need, Sanji was there. Sanji, the shame of Germa and Judge's greatest failure, became the savior of Germa. This moment right here is the turning point not for Sanji's character, but for his father. Sanji and his siblings never had a chance to be a real family. From their conception, Sanji and his brothers were modified to become emotionless soldiers. Sanji was spared that emotionless fate because of his mother's intervention. This moment right here highlights the flaw in Judge's ideology. It was because Sanji had emotions that he felt he could not abandon his family, even after everything that had happened. Judge has learned that he was wrong all this time. Here is where it gets interesting. Judge and Caesar have been reunited for the first time in many years. Two of the greatest minds on the planet have seemingly joined forces. If Judge was ever going to rectify the mistake of taking away his children's emotions, now would be the time. With Caesar Clown's help, they may be able to return the Germa's prince's emotions whilst retaining their superhuman abilities. Judge has learned from his past mistake, but learning from them means nothing unless he takes steps to change. Of course, returning Sanji's brother's emotions won't make up for the years of torment and trauma, but it is a step in the right direction. With their emotions intact, they would be able to fully understand what they have said and done to Sanji in the past. Germa will return in the future, and they will be different for sure. Alright, so the Germa will change, but why would Sanji lead Germa? Wouldn't Judge just stay king until he retires? If Judge does step down from leading Germa 66, wouldn't he just pass the reins to Reiju or Ichiji? No. Sanji is the best choice for leading Germa 66, and changing it from being an evil army to something greater. Reiju and Ichiji have taken part in furthering Judge's ambitions, and have no doubt committed many atrocities in the name of Germa 66. Sanji on the other hand has never helped in furthering Judge's ambitions, and because of this he has a clean slate. The Germa have been desperately trying to retake the North Blue for over 300 years, even to their own detriment. Their obsession with conquest has led to desperation and madness. In pursuit of this singular goal, Judge Vinsmoke has created a clone army and genetically modified his own children. He has even attempted to ally himself with Big Mom, one of the most powerful pirates on the planet. It took the events of Whole Cake Island to open his eyes to what he has become. His own children were emotionless monsters even in the face of imminent death. His alliance with Big Mom almost led to the complete destruction of the Germa kingdom, and his failure of a son had to save his life. It was Sanji's actions that saved Germa 66. His perceived imperfections such as emotions were the sole reason he was able to save his family. Sanji is completely different from Germa 66, and under his leadership, he can lead them to a better future. So how does it happen? For a new king to be crowned, the previous king needs to step down, or in this case, die. We know a war that will affect the entire One Piece world will occur once the One Piece is found. We also know that most, if not all of Luffy's past allies, will aid him in this final war. This includes Germa 66. Sanji will meet his family again, and this time it will be different. Sanji and Judge have always had a rocky relationship, to put it lightly. Judge has always looked down on Sanji as a failure, and has made no secret in his disappointment of him. Everything changed when Sanji saved his life, however. What will he say to Sanji after being shown the error of his ways? Judge can apologize for the life Sanji has endured because of him, but I see a different outcome. The most powerful way for Judge to convey his regret and newfound appreciation for Sanji would be to lay down his life for his son, telling Sanji that he was not his greatest failure, but his greatest success, passing on the title of king to his son, Sanji. With Judge apologizing to Sanji and his brother's emotions returning, the Vinsmokes will finally be able to be a real family. Of course, forgiveness will not come overnight, but this will be the start in a new chapter for Sanji and his family. As it stands, Sanji has hated his family all his life, and if he stays on this current path, his character will not progress. Sanji firmly rejects his Germa heritage, and I firmly believe there will be at least one scene where Sanji proudly states that he is a member of the Vinsmoke family. Even after everything I have said, the question remains, what would Sanji do with the Germa kingdom under his rule? The answer is quite simple. The Germa kingdom would become a floating restaurant kingdom, similar to Baratie. Sanji has no use for clone soldiers, so whichever clone soldiers survive the final war will likely be free to choose whatever life they want. Sanji will be able to travel across the All Blue, free to do what he loves the most, cooking. He will be able to travel the world ensuring that what happened to him as a child does not happen to anyone else. His siblings would likely support him in his efforts, as protectors of the new Germa kingdom. Rather than being mercenaries that fight for money, they can fight to free the oppressed. With Sanji leading the Germa kingdom, they would not be known as a militaristic conquering kingdom, but a humanitarian kingdom that serves the people. Sanji makes the most sense as the new leader of Germa. He is the strongest among them, and being a member of the Straw Hat crew, he would be allies with all of the locations the Straw Hats have already saved, giving Sanji built-in connections to many important people and islands across the One Piece world, making their travels easier. I also want to point out that out of all of the Vinsmoke children, Sanji is the only one who retains the blonde hair of his parents. This was intentionally done by Oda. Of course, for any of this to happen, I believe the Straw Hat crew would have to be disbanded, similar to the Roger Pirates, and the Straw Hats will all go their separate ways. So these are my thoughts on how I believe Sanji's relationship with his family will progress. Of course, some of this is opinion and speculation, but I truly believe that this is where Oda is taking Sanji's character. On a side note, I think Sanji's title has to change. During the final war, Luffy and Zoro will gain new titles. Luffy's title will change from Straw Hat Luffy to Pirate King Luffy. Zoro's title will change from Pirate Hunter to World's Strongest Swordsman. I don't see Oda leaving Sanji out of this picture. I believe Sanji's title may change from Blackleg to King or Emperor of Germa. Let me know if you can think of a better title for Sanji, and let me know what you think about what I discussed. Will Sanji hate his family forever, or is this a possibility? Will he leave the Germa, or is this too far of a jump for him? Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or a dislike if you didn't, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.